He has been so solid for West Brom. He's the main reason why they've got the best defensive record in the division.
And he always has a smile on his face. He's always got a big smile on his face, and which goes a long way for me.
They only got him for 400 grand, but he's a young goalkeeper. Russell Martin obviously knows him well, having been the MK Dons manager before. And I think it's really important that he gets in players that he knows.
When you have a week as bad as this, it's very hard to see how they come out of it.
Getting knocked out to a non-league side, then getting smashed as well. That is a confidence destroyer and could really send Reading down the toilet.
I'm going to go for a player I think changed the course of the history of this football club. I'm going to go for Pablo Hernandez at Leeds.
I remember when they actually signed him, I was a bit shocked and taken aback by how they managed to pull it off. But it's one of those signings that, really, really changed the course of history for Leeds. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Stopwatch. It's the Championship show with a wee twist. 5 topics, 2-minute timer, 2 hosts, Ryan and Justin from the Second Tier Podcast. Let's get right into it, Justin. After Andy Carroll's incredible offside double, 2 goal of the season contenders, which were both ruled out for offside, who has been the unluckiest player in the Championship this season?
I'll go a bit left field with this one. I'll go Felipe Araruna of Reading. When you consider that he came from Sao Paulo, I think it was in 2019, he's been ridden with injuries since. He's had a 16-month layoff. He made his return against Derby, and a much-needed return based on the numbers Reading have got available. And he unfortunately dislocated his knee last weekend in the FA Cup. For that reason, it's disappointing. It's sad. It's rubbish for him and bad for Reading as well. So really got a feel for him. The stat that look is it's rubbish. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's really, really heartbreaking, isn't it? It reminds me of Christian Bielik at Derby from last season when he did his ACL twice in the space of 2 years. How players can be this unlucky with injury is just beyond me. I don't understand it at all. Hopefully he will get back to playing regularly for Reading. Of course, you've got to keep in mind as well, he's a foreign lad who's come over during a whole lockdown during a pandemic. So he's not had his family here either. He's had to go through a lot and he just keeps getting body blow after body blow, doesn't he? So yeah, he's definitely been unlucky so far. If you're talking unlucky on the pitch, then I'm going to go for Brad Collins of Barnsley, someone who has been one of the best goalkeepers in the division this season, hasn't he? He's been pulling off save after save after save. He's kept Barnsley in many games when they probably didn't deserve to be and has won them points on some occasions. But unfortunately for him, he's playing in a side which is really, really failing, quite frankly, all over the pitch, aren't they? He's got a sieve in front of him. He's got strikers and forwards who just can't score for love nor money and that we're creating very few chances. Would you say Brad Collins has been very unlucky as well?
Oh yeah, he's without doubt been one of the most consistent goalkeepers in the division, and he's kept Barnsley in games this season, hasn't he? When they could have easily been beaten by 3 or 4 goals.
Yeah, definitely. I think Barnsley would have been done and dusted now for relegation had it not been for Brad Collins. I mean, they're looking pretty unlikely at the moment anyway, but it could have been a lot sooner had it not been for Mr. Collins. Justin, what's the next question?
Ryan, who is your underrated star of the season so far?
Someone I don't think we've ever mentioned before on the second tier is Cal Naismith of Luton, someone who has been getting better and better as the season has gone on as well. He's turned out to be a really, really rock-solid defender for Luton. It's worth saying as well, he's also versatile. He's good with the ball at his feet. He's everything you really want in a defender, but doesn't get the plaudits he deserves, really. Maybe because he does play for Luton, an unfashionable side in the second tier, but someone every time I've watched Luton, Justin, I can't help but be impressed with him. Are you the same?
Oh yeah, he's been brilliant. He's a free transfer as well from Wigan last January. He was fantastic when he came in. He was really good for Wigan in that run of games. When they were in the bottom 3 and they got out of the bottom 3. I know they had administration, but he was fantastic and he was scoring goals as well. He's a good player, and as you say, he's one that goes under the radar. For me, I'll edge towards Carl Bartley at West Brom. I think he's a player who is so consistent, but doesn't, as you say, get the plaudits he deserves. Good ball playing defender, very good in the air. He can be a bit of the dark arts. And he always has a smile on his face. He's always got a big smile on his face, and which goes a long way for me.
He's a proper leader, isn't he, as well? And I don't think you can underestimate how much of a difference he makes to the team. When you've got a leader like him in your side, it goes a long, long way. But he's been fantastic defensively. He's probably actually having his best season individually because he has been so solid for West Brom. He's the main reason why they've got the best defensive record in the division, and he chipped in with goals as well. He's the player you look for, isn't he, when it comes to a set piece for West Brom. So yeah, he's been handy at both ends of the pitch. Justin, it breaks my heart to ask you this, but after a shock FA Cup exit to Kidderminster and then the midweek embarrassment at the hands of Fulham, how realistic is the threat of relegation for Reading right now?
Well, it's quite realistic, isn't it? When you consider the amount of players they've got missing, they've got players at AFCON, players are injured, and they can't really bring anybody in as well because of the transfer embargo. They might have to sell some players as well this January to maybe have a bit of movement. I think the threat of relegation is really a big possibility for Reading. And as I say, when you have a week as bad as this, it's very hard to see how they come out of it. A 7-0 defeat, a defeat in the FA Cup to a national, a conference side. It's bad. And as I say, where do you go from there? It's rock bottom for Reading. The only way is up, but how long is it going to take them to get up?
You're spot on. There's nothing going right for them at the moment. And I don't think you can underestimate how bad a week this has been and how much it will destroy confidence. I mean, confidence wasn't particularly high at Reading in the first place, but as you say, getting knocked out to a non-league side, then getting smashed as well, that is a confidence destroyer and could really send Reading down the toilet, quite frankly, couldn't it? Because things are bad anyway. The players, they're relying on a small handful of players whose form has dropped off since the start of the season when they were doing all right. The squad's thin as it is. They're relying on young players. And then you've got a host of players there who are only on short-term deals. And you can't say for sure that it matters as much to them that Reading stay up. So, yeah, it's a massive threat for Reading. They are quite fortunate that you've got Barnsley, who I struggle to see staying up at this point. Peterborough aren't a great side, but only 3 points behind Reading. And then you've got Derby, who've got a big points gap to overcome, but are in good form at the moment, aren't they? So you've got teams making up ground. It's not as competitive down there as it has been in past seasons, but considering Reading are in such a state, you can't say for sure that they're safe, can you, at all? What's the next question, Justin?
Which signing has impressed you the most so far this January?
I really like the signing of Andrew Fisher from MK Dons for Swansea. They only got him for 400 grand, but he's a young goalkeeper. Russell Martin obviously knows him well, having been the MK Dons manager before. And I think it's really important that he gets in players that he knows. And more importantly, for a manager like Russell Martin, knows how to play his style of football, because Fisher is clearly comfortable with the ball at his feet. You've got to be in a Russell Martin system, haven't you? But the fact that you only got him a 400 grand as well, that is taking into account that I think his contract was up in the summer once. So that's the main reason why they got him so cheap. But getting a young goalkeeper for that fee could be a steal in the long term, couldn't it, Justin?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. At 23, 24 years old, you've got a long way ahead of you as a goalkeeper. And as you say, he knows Russell Martin, he knows the system, good shot stopper, good with the ball at his feet. There's a lot to like about the signing, and obviously Swansea needed a goalkeeper. But for me, I'm going to edge towards Daryl Dike, and it seems an easy signing, but I don't think there's a signing this January that is going to define a season for a football club more than Daryl Dike would for West Brom. He could easily be the difference between automatics or a playoff place for West Brom. We know their troubles in front of goal. We know they struggled to convert chances. And we saw the impact Daryl Dike had in a very short space of time at Barnsley last season. And the thing that impresses me most is that this is a permanent deal, not a loan. They got him on a permanent deal. They've got him tied down to a contract. And if he does perform and West Brom don't go up, they've got money in the bank if it comes to selling him. So it's a very, very good signing for me.
Yeah, the signing speaks for itself, doesn't it? And we've been talking about it loads over the past few weeks. We're finally going to see now if it's going to work out or not, because West Brom are the second least clinical side in the division. Dike needs to try and amend that, doesn't he? And considering he's got form for that at Barnsley, hopefully he will be that man. And finally, Justin, is second tier retro. Favourite time of the week. It's in a similar vein to the last question, actually. But who has been the best signing in Championship history? Can I go first, Justin? Because I'm going to get the easy one here. I'm going to get the what's it called? Get the obvious one out of the way.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We'll say that. He is the GOAT, quite frankly. Peter Whittingham to Cardiff, 350 grand. That doesn't need topping, really, does it? I think it speaks for itself, really. 10 years of service at Cardiff, was their key player, was their best player for pretty much that whole time. probably the best championship player ever. 350 grand, you can't argue with that, can you?
No, in terms of value for money, they definitely got it back and then some. And as you say, the impact he had on the pitch was just incredible. We don't need to speak too much about Peter Whittingham because we've said everything before. His left foot is a wand. Probably the best left foot that's ever graced a championship. Just what a player. I'm going to go for someone slightly different. I'm going to go for a player I think changed the course of the history of this football club. I'm going to go for Pablo Hernandez at Leeds. And the reason why is you get players with his caliber and reputation coming to a championship and they don't perform. They don't put the effort in. You know, he's a Spanish international, played for Valencia, played in the Premier League with Swansea. And he came to Leeds at the twilight of his career and he bossed it. He bossed it creatively. You know, he's one of those players that got double-figure goals, double-figure assists. And I think he renewed the hope of Leeds fans in a way that, okay, we can attract these players. They come in, they perform, they epitomise what we want out of a team. And they do it with a bit of swagger and style as well. And for me, yeah, he's a player who was so emotionally attached to the football club as well. And Leeds getting promoted wasn't down to him because obviously he didn't play too often in that final season, but there was a lot more to it. There was a lot more to Pablo Hernandez and Leeds United than just playing. Just what a player. And as I say, I think he changed the course of the history of the football club, shall we say.
There's no underestimation that he is a modern-day Leeds United legend. You're quite right in saying he changed everything for Leeds, and what a player as well. I mean, he was just a joy to watch, wasn't he? His passing range, his dribbling. It was great. I loved watching Pablo Hernandez. I remember when they actually signed him, I was a bit shocked and taken aback by how they managed to pull it off. But it's one of those signings that, you know, really, really changed the course of history for Leeds. And yeah, modern day Leeds legend. And there we go, Justin. Episode 17 of the Stopwatch. Happy 17th birthday to the Stopwatch. You can now officially start having driving lessons. There you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think is the best signing in Championship history? I'm very interested to hear what other people have to say about that. Surely Peter Whittingham can't be topped. I can't see that being topped, but I'm interested to see what you guys have to say anyway. Drop us a like if you enjoyed. Please subscribe for more content like this. We've been the Second Tier Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Second Tier Pod. That's Justin Peach 27. I'm Ryan Dilkswan, and thank you for watching.